I'll be real with you. Sometimes I'm lying in my bed and I'm like, damn, maybe I fluked Christos twice. Like, if I could have lost. I'm not kidding. When we roll in the gym, like, I'm not even joking. Like, he just kicks my ass, like, every time. So, like, I mean, I got lucky. I really got lucky. And, if I made it best out of 3 falls, I might have fallen twice.
What is up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rav Esparza, coming to you with another great installment of the Grappling Hour. I hope you're having a good day. You should be. We do have a guest. He's interesting. Yep, he recognizes the camera is on him. Let's take that off. It's very weird. He hasn't communicated much on the other side during the pre-interview. He just kept insisting on raising his arms to let us know he got in a good pump. I haven't seen it, but he was assuring me he worked out very, very diligently. And I said, hey, man, good for you. That's so great. This is a JC Penney, sir. So anyway, what I can tell you is this. He has done some great work. But before we get to him, a couple quick reminders. First and foremost, if you like this page, like, comment, and subscribe. So all you have to do here is just show your love and appreciation by saying, hey, listen, the Sebastian kid, he's about to blow up. He's about to kill it at the PGF. Why don't we share this so that more people can get to know him and his engaging personality? So do that. And if you don't know what you want to comment in the comment section, by the end of this video, we will give you a prompt to comment on. So that's part 1. Part 2, if you like this show, head on over to patreon.com/grappling hour. If you like this show for just $5 a month, you can see our interviews 30 days before anybody else. And for a few extra dollars, you can see extra bonus content that is not available anywhere else. But what kind of content, Raph? Well, you can see tape studies that we do with the athletes where we actually watch the matches with them and they tell us their technical breakdowns of what they did during their fights and their matches. And this ranges from people in the UFC, Bellator, local organizations, and many of your favorite grapplers. So you can do that for just a few extra dollars. And you can also follow us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and you can always find us on the Discord at Grappling Hour. All right, friends, that's going to do it for the little business I have to take care of here. Let's get to our guest. It's interesting about our guest for this particular reason. When our guest wins, it is customary for me to reach out to them and say, hey, would you like to come on the show? And our guest qualified for the PGF Season 7, which is going to be the 205 division. Now, we will be covering that. Myself and the rest of the gentlemen from the bullpen will be your official pre and post shows for that. So very happy to be back for another season with those good folks. But there is some concern here because our guy was taking enough time to get back to me that I started to wonder, oh my God, are we going to get him in before PGF Season 8 on this show? Because my dude, I don't know if he was scared. I don't know what his issue was, but it was the interview equivalent of ducking. And I'm happy to say we tracked him down on site. It is likely he is going to get DDT'd as soon as I see him, but I am very happy to bring on to the show the winner of the PGF Season 7 qualifier, the very first of 3 qualifiers, Sebastian Attard. Sebastian, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show. And look, I apologize for taking so long to get on the show, but I think all good things can't be rushed. This is going to be a great episode of your podcast, and it's just going to be great. So let the fans wait a bit, but all in all, we're here. No pump, by the way. This is straight after jiu-jitsu. Got to lift weights after this, but
got you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that anyway.
I wanted to understand why you feel the need to continuously raise your arms like you're a Diaz brother, because we're doing an interview where you don't have to. You know that, right?
Listen, things that have to be done, sometimes they need to be done.
Mhm.
I'll be sitting here involuntarily, they go up. I mean, I don't know. It's something like that.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see that you are doing that, and I do feel it'll probably be a recurring throughout. I do have an over under to figure out how many times you'll end up doing this on the actual interview. But I will tell you this. It is funny to chart your progress because in prepping for this interview, before we even get to your wins, I did see a young man who was stuck behind a piano. And I did see a young man that was not quite as big as you are now. That man behind the piano, that kid, he had to work his way to this physique. What was that kid like who was behind a piano? Because that kid made a reemergence in the video that I saw of you winning the PGF qualifier, sir.
Yeah, well, when I was a kid, what my mum would do is she would get a booster pack of Pokemon cards, and she would put 10 Pokemon cards on the piano, and I would have my repertoire of pieces I needed to play for my exams, and she would say, every mistake you make in this piece, I'm going to take one card, and however many I had at the end, that's how many I got to have. So oftentimes I would walk away with 2, 3 Pokemon cards, full of tears, crying, and look, that just made me who I am today. All I wanted was to just kick someone's ass for that kind of pain. I couldn't kick my mom's ass. She's a great woman.
Right.
She's done so much to me. I needed to figure something out. So got my degree in piano, and I thought, all right, now I can play piano and start breaking legs. Oftentimes, that's how it works.
It is pretty interesting because did you ever lose any good Pokemon cards? Did you get to see the cards you lost? Because I work in game shows, and one of the things you have to do to the people who don't win stuff is you have to show it so you get that reveal of them going, oh, no, I didn't win $1 million. So did she do that to you, or did it remain a mystery?
No, what she would do is she'd take the cards that I didn't get, and they were up for grabs next time. But, when you're 10 years old, you want the cards today. So next time I just wasn't going to cut it. So, I got really good at piano.
And I have to compliment you because I did tell you this would be half of a roasting session, but I cannot roast your musicality. Like, your piano playing was quite good. And I had a moment as a movie fan, as a music lover, where I said, is this motherfucker playing the Pirates of the Caribbean theme song? And then I found later in your Instagram that was definitely something you had played before. So were you creating the soundtrack for the PGF by playing that? Was that the piece you selected, sir?
Yeah, it's my favorite piece to play. I mean, I didn't know they were going to use it as a soundtrack, or else I would have tried a bit harder. But there's a piano at 10th Planet, so I just jumped on there to warm up. My hands always get really cold before I compete, so getting in there really made a big difference. I think it really helped my performance.
I mean, legitimately, I was impressed by it. So I was listening to it. I thought you were right on top of it. I didn't know you had perfected it so much, and that your mom was essentially not bribing you, but just short of ensuring that you would become that.
Yeah. Well, she made sure it happened, and I gotta thank her for that.
Absolutely. Let's get to your actual PGF experience. Now, you belong to a great team. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but I'd like to know, when did the PGF kind of come on your radar? Because you are a foreigner, and I do want to get to how you got here, but when was the first time the PGF kind of came into your consciousness?
To be honest, the first time I ever heard about PGF was probably in passing in 2018. My friend was telling me, oh, there's this great show, this guy Elijah Carlton, he's so good. And then I fought Elijah Carlton, and then he beat me the whole match, but then I beat him in EBI overtime. And I thought, this was a pretty funny coincidence, because my friend was telling me all about the PGF, and then I ended up fighting the best guy in there. I mean, he was a lot better than me, but I just swindled my way through the overtime. And then seeing it again, the qualifier, I was just thinking, it's just cool to come full circle. One of my friends in Australia always telling me about the show. I never actually saw it myself. And then, free qualifier in my city. I was very surprised that not everyone was jumping on to do this qualifier. I was looking at the bracket, and it's just me and 10 blue belts. And I'm like, this has got to be the best day ever. So, free competition, free experience, go to Vegas, fight my housemate twice. It was a great day.
Is he still your housemate? Is that still something that is happening here?
Yeah, I mean, he's away right now. He's visiting his girlfriend. But, we live together. It's pretty funny. We were listening to WWE theme songs in the morning, getting hyped up. Didn't know we'd have to have 2 matches, but we did. and we had a good time.
I like to say when people know professional wrestling that they are cultured. Is your roommate also cultured in the WWE and AEW and professional wrestling art, sir?
I wish he could be less cultured. I really wish he could be less. I wake up, my door to my room is glass. I have to wake up every night about 1 or 2 a.m. and turn the TV off because he's watching documentaries. Right? He's watching informative content. He's rewatching matches. He's learning the ins and outs of the business. I got to turn the TV off every night. I got photos of him sleeping and some guy talking about something about Hulk Hogan or like something that's happened with Will Ospreay. Some deep lore in wrestling, which I got to turn off the TV. I always ask him to turn it off himself, but he never does. So he's very well educated.
So is he more educated than you in the arts?
Yeah, I would say he's definitely put a bit more effort in learning the process. Like he's just always into it. He's always finding out things. You know, I only knew that Raw was going to be in Austin because he knew it was going to be in Austin, and we got to go. Like he just knows everything.
What was it like going to Raw together?
It was sick. It was sick. It was just interesting to see how it works in real life because you know I was in Australia. I never got to go to a Raw or anything like this. So it was just cool to see like the ad breaks, like the whole building like shuts off for like 2 minutes. Like there's things like this that I wouldn't have expected.
Now, see, here's where things get, I guess, a little divergent, and we'll come back to PGF in a second. But you told me, you were like, yo, I don't know if you know this, but I actually trained to be a pro wrestler. And I was like, I did not know that. So you would feel like you were more inclined to know more about the business than somebody who probably didn't go through the process. So when did you decide you wanted to try to do that? And why did you try to be a pro wrestler? The good news is the personality is there, needs some work, but like it's mostly on track to be a WWE superstar. And the way that you made eye contact with that camera that was filming from PGF told me, oh, this kid's got a personality. That's good.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I in terms I know how to run the ropes. I know how to take a bump. I've taken bumps. They hurt. Like I know how to wrestle in the ring. I mean, in terms of the ins and outs of the business, I didn't get too far. I wrestled from the age of 15 to 16 for a year. So not too much experience. I only started jiu-jitsu because my wrestling gyms shut down. I didn't know what to do. So like that was sort of interesting. If my wrestling gym never shut down, you'd probably, you know, see me in the indie circuit. But that's what happened pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty interesting.
Let's get into some qualifiers here as a pro wrestling fan. What was your finisher? And did you have a submission finish at any point? Because nowadays you can't just have a DDT and call it a day. You got to have a whole like repertoire of this is what I use in the East Coast. This is what I use for pay-per-view. What did you have as your move set, if you would?
I did like to use, even though I had never grappled, I like to use Kimura because Brock Lesnar would do it, and I thought he made it look real devastating. And then I would use Swanton Bomb as well because I liked the idea of when you flip that moment when Jeff Hardy's head is going to touch the mat and then he tucks. Like I felt I could do that pretty well. So I've got a video of it somewhere. I've got to find it, but I like that Swanton Bomb to finish the match.
Can I tell you one thing that was interesting in the research part of this is, so I'm looking through your videos and I'm laughing because, you know, there's some fun stuff. You have a fun way of categorizing things. Even in your feud that I very quickly learned that you and Elijah had, because it is hard to remember who's had feuds with him over the years. It was funny.
He's a very versatile character.
Yeah, I thought I was like, oh, of course you've had a feud with Elijah. That makes sense. That checks out. But when I saw a certain video of you trying to triple powerbomb somebody, that video did not speak to me like, well, this dude is clearly trained before. So when you hit me with that, I was like, oh, really? Well, this dude's got some work to do because the triple powerbomb is not his move.
No, that was the first time we've ever done that. Like, you know, I mean, remember when I wrestled, I was 15. I wasn't strong enough to powerbomb someone. So I was doing other stuff, you know. The physique's obviously different now. Like I could hit different moves. You know, I was trying to hit more nimble movements back in the day. But yeah, that triple powerbomb was pretty cool.
Fair enough. So, you know, obviously you got to compete against this guy and he's your homie. And it sounds like he was the one that ushered taking you to WWE Raw. So like there's a kinship here, there's a closeness, but I should ask this. In the time that you've known this dude and he's this obsessed with WWE or pro wrestling, have you hit him with the finisher or has he hit you with the finisher? Because I always figure at a household with dudes who are growing up that all bets are off. There is a false count anywhere sort of approach to life.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, our house is very congested. There's not really much room. We have a small house. But he does chop me, like, quite often. Woo! He'll hit me with a big chop, out of nowhere. I'm startled for a few seconds. And then in those few seconds, he can do what he wants with me. But, he's very kind. He doesn't go after me. But, yeah, a lot of chops.
I would say it is one of the more absurd things. We do a thing called WWE BJJ. So every year, we actually give away a championship belt. If you would be so kind, I'll show. Essentially, what we do is we have fans and friends of the show submit either a match or a video. Sometimes it's demonstrating a technique, it's a storyline, whatever it is. And the winner gets a customized belt. And the one that we are giving away coming up here is of Razor Ramon doing this. So when you told me about it, I was like, oh, we'll definitely let you know when we do that. But I usually do like a main event match that's out of competition, out of qualification for it. And I have to tell you, in the many years I have lived on this earth, I've never chopped anybody. But after taking the guy who I did the match with to a show, he looked at me and he's like, we're doing that. And I was like, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, we're going to do that. And I go, I want to make it clear, bro. It's an insane person thing to do. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to do it. It's just, are you sure? And he's like, yeah.
The wrestling, you mean?
Well, just the chop. Everything else, like the moves and stuff like that, I'm like, nah, I got you. Like most of the moves, I can at least hit them with, like, we do a tombstone, we do a whole bunch of stuff. But this dude is like, chops? And I go, you're an actual MMA fighter, bro. Like, what are we talking about here? And I got to tell you, the first time we tested out the chop, I was like, let's see if you'll be okay with it. He hit me, and I was more nervous because I was like, dude, this dude's got good hands. And he hit me, and I was just like, oh, that was easy. That was nothing. And I hit him, and I saw him starting to flinch up. And I was like, bro, you can't do that on camera. Like, if I'm going to hit you. But I'll tell you this. In the many years I've lived, I never even thought about doing a chop. Meanwhile, over at your household, it's maybe the way you're going to get dinner.
Oh, yeah. I mean, chop is just so versatile. It's right there. No setup. I don't see the reason to go into semantics of some deep move when the chop's right there, chest is open, cup the hand. And back when I was wrestling when I was younger, it was sort of customary for the older, more experienced wrestlers to chop you to death and make sure that your chest was fully red, just to, sort of like a ceremony of your starting your career. So I'm very versatile and very experienced.
I guess the other question is, how do they let a 15, 16-year-old do that? I don't know the rules in Australia, but I almost feel like here in the States, you got to get like a parental permission slip or something.
I mean, yeah, my parents let me do whatever I want, to be honest. But when I just called them on the phone, I was like, listen, I'm 15, but I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And they were like, all right, come by.
That makes sense.
Wrestling's it's not a very, sophisticated, like on the indie level, it's not a very sophisticated thing. Like, it's usually run by guys who look like they're junkies. So they don't really care.
But why did you want to do pro wrestling? Like, what about it spoke to you? Was it the performance? Was it the athleticism? Was it the fact that you could be outside of your home and go to millions of homes elsewhere? Because again, if you're 15, 16, you're kind of figuring out as you go, but had that place not closed down, that could have been a longer period of time you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have just kept doing it forever. So, like, I liked every aspect of it. The storytelling, I liked the actual wrestling aspect. Learning all the little bits and pieces, like cutting promos, is very difficult. Actually taking a bump sucks. And then knowing how to do it properly, like, it's very artistic. So, all that's pretty interesting.
Fair enough. I guess I have one more question before we go back to the PGF here. What was your character name and what was your character's bio that you were starting to shape here? Because it sounds more like you were going to be a high flyer that had some artillery that they could do on the ground if you were using the Kimura, by the way, which is hilarious to me. But what was your character like?
Oh, man, honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I was still trying to figure that all out. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what my game is in jiu-jitsu right now. Like, 1 year of wrestling, I didn't really have a character per se. Like, more I was just putting it together. I mean, if I stuck around, I would have had something. But at that point, I was still like, messing around with different ideas.
I think the reason I ask all this is it's becoming more and more ingrained in our culture. TKO is basically with the WWE and the UFC. So it's not out of the question. It's out of your system entirely, sir.
Oh, no, I'd go back in a heartbeat.
All right. Well, let's get back to the PGF here, because I guess part of the reason we wanted to know all this is you knew that there was an opportunity, a possibility that you and your pro wrestling acumented roommate are going to be going up against each other. Did you guys travel together, and was that talked about as you guys were traveling?
You mean to the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, we knew it was going to happen. I didn't see anyone else beating Christos. He's really good. So, yeah, I mean, a couple of good friends. It's just another day in life, I feel if you're really good friends with somebody, you can get through that. I mean, I was happy to lose to him. He was happy to lose to me. Like, I didn't like competing against my housemate, but, we knew that, like, no matter what the outcome was, it was going to be fine. So, a couple of good mates having a tussle.
Fair enough. Talk to me about the actual experience. So what does it feel like when you get to the venue, and what sticks out to you as they're starting to talk to you and get you ready for this? Because what I noticed for you guys is you get, unlike other tournaments, you get an actual speech from BMAC, who can be very persuasive and very clear about what it is that he wants. So what does the mood and the temperature feel like as you're waiting to go perform?
Yeah, well, he's telling us like, oh, this is going to be like American Idol. We're going crazy in here. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like a ridiculous competition. And he was, I was trying to really remove myself from like the persuasiveness of him. Like, he was really like trying to sway the room in one direction of just telling everyone to go crazy, like just do like everything. And I was there. I was like, man, these guys are going to like do something dangerous. Like, I remember walking on the mat. I think I had the first match of the day, and the guy came at me so hard, and I was like, man, that's all BMAC's fault. Like, this guy came at me like that because he got hyped up by this guy. I was like, that was bad. And then even I started like emulating it. I was like going a bit harder. And then Christos was like, bro, oh no, sorry, my friend Heath, he was there, Heath the ref. He was like, bro, you don't need to go so hard. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, he was really persuading everyone to go really hard. So that was interesting, because usually people in competition don't really care about the actual aspect of performing. They care about getting a good outcome. But he was like, even if you lose, but you looked cooler than the other guy, I'm going to give you the decision win. And I was like, oh, what does that mean? I mean, we didn't really see any of that. Usually the guy who was going crazy, I won the match. It seems to be that way at a lower level. But yeah, it was pretty funny to deal with.
I mean, I will compliment you. You did look very composed throughout the process. And one thing that kind of stuck out to me was your ease in which you were transitioning into your leg attacks, because there I was looking at you and I go, yeah, no, those are some really good entries. And it looked very, very convincing throughout the process to me, that I was like, yeah, no, he seems like a good candidate for what it is that happens at PGF. And of course, things were going very much your way. So how many matches did you end up having that day?
Oh, I think I had 5 or 6 matches all up. I can't remember now, but definitely, I think five.
Okay. So first match starts pretty well. What do you remember about the second?
The second match. Oh yeah, I mean, the guy just gave me his leg. I tried to take it off. I mean, it was interesting. Me and my housemate Christos, we were watching a lot of Diego Pato in the week coming up, and watching a lot of wrestling, and we were really noticing that, like, this guy Diego Pato, this guy is a very interesting character. This guy will get on like a limb, he'll get the grip and figure it out later. He'll just go ahead and try and break it immediately. Like, and he has some great mechanics. Like, he will destroy your leg. It's like gruesome almost. So we were thinking like we're gonna grab things just to rip him off. And in that second match, I grabbed the ankle like halfway up the guy's calf and just sent it, and he tapped. And then I watched the video back, and I was like, I can't even upload this video. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, this guy tapped to nothing. So then I was sort of disappointed. So,
it is unfortunate sometimes. Sometimes you don't have the right angle on getting the submission you want. Sometimes you look at it and you go, oh man, that doesn't even seem cool. Like I did all this work and I want to post it.
I just went shin on shin, went to Irimi Ashigarami, had sent it, and like I was not going to break anything. And nothing would have broken. So if honestly, if I broke him, I would be an ape. I would be a freak. Like, so, I mean, props to him. I mean, add one to your counter, but look at this. Maybe I could have broken it. Who knows?
Lord. Okay. We've had different problems. So I have the reverse end. I had a guy and, I have the ability, and I think from what I've seen you do, you probably have this as well, but I do a reap into a Boston crab for a number of people. And, like Kimuras are fun. Arm bars are fun. Hitting this in any room is always the one that makes people go like, yeah, all right.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous,
right? But I had a dude who, what I did is I went higher, almost like you're talking about on the calf as I turn him over. And this dude's face down and I have it. And I'm just trying to be nice to him because he's a civilian, which means he does not train or know any part of pro wrestling. So this dude, though, pretty yoked. And he's like, I guess I'll tap. But I mean, it doesn't hurt. And I'm like, what part of this do you think won't hurt if I don't want to? So meanwhile, you're over here being like, man, if I did anything, it would just be like your calf kind of explodes. Mine is like, dude, I know where my grip is at. I'm just training with you. This doesn't mean shit. Like, what's wrong with you? The fact that you don't know any leg mechanics makes me nervous for you with anybody else who doesn't give a shit and is going to rip.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference. I mean, one thing I like about competition is not having to be responsible for my training partners or my competitors, in training. We're all friends, or even if they're not my friends and I don't know them, we still have a responsibility for each other. So, one thing I like about competition is just that, like, extra edge. Like, for example, like, like a Choi bar, people say, like a Choi bar. Mm-hmm. I like that fact in competition that I can knee them in the head when I do it. Like, I've made people's mouths bleed from this technique, and like, it's not a problem. Whereas in training, like, I'll lose the position because I'm not trying to put my knee in their face. So, this is one big aspect I really like about competition. But then this was just one case in that PGF match where, the guy just tapped so quick because I had just seriously no concern for his safety. But in reality, my lack of concern actually was making me worse because I wasn't, trying to actually get to a good leverage and breaking position. I was just trying to put damage through whatever I could grab.
No, that checks out. And I get it, dude. Listen, I think it's one of the things that happens when you are an instructor or somebody who has to take care of other people. And this dude's not even at our gym. He's coming to visit us. And he's somebody I've actually competed against. No, I haven't competed against him yet, but we're in the same division. So it's somebody that I'm kind of like, look, dude, I'm just trying to look out for both of us here. But to his credit, he's come up to me a couple times. I think he ran into me in Vegas and he's just like, when are you competing next? And I was like, wouldn't you like to know, my man? Wouldn't
you like to know? Wouldn't he like to get Boston crabbed again?
I mean, you have no idea how much the friends and family are like, I dare you to get disqualified to do it. And I was like, don't do that because I will. I will 100% do it.
I remember my friend in Australia, he was in the kids division and he did a flying armbar and he got disqualified because it's the kids division. I was like, bro, who cares? That's sick. Like, that's the best video ever. Like, the video was awesome. So, at the end of the day, the content is what matters.
That's what I'm telling people. I'm like, as long as you got it on film, I don't care. Like, I don't need a shiny medal. I don't need any of that. That'll live on in perpetuity. And it's good business if you're a host to have one of those every once in a while. So there is that, which is great. That goes match number 2 of 5. What happens in match number 3, sir?
Match number 3, come across my housemate, Christos. And I'm just thinking like, okay, here we go. I remember there was one time where he passed my guard really fast, by the way. He just walked on the mat. I pulled guard. He cartwheeled past and passed me. And I was like, oh, geez, maybe I'm going to lose. But then I remember there was one point where I was on top, like half guard. And I was just like, I don't know if I should be apologizing right now or just sending it. Like, me, like, I was in this like weird mind frame where I was like, I need to fucking win this match. But I also want to apologize for every little movement I make. Yeah, I ended up getting an ankle lock. I actually popped his ankle and he didn't tap. And I was like, that sucks because we're like friends. And then came on top. I got a pass, got to his back. And then I hit Oshiro Senkaki, a re-triangle in that match. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty funny. He's 170, by the way. He's a 205 bracket, and he was definitely the toughest guy who turned up. So pretty silly.
You were doing a good job of putting him over, though. I appreciated the appeal to BMAC to get him as a reserve. And you were making sure to point out that he was a 170er because I looked at that dude and I was like, props to this guy. Of course, you're going to run into somebody like you, and that's not necessarily the ideal version of it, but it's part of the game because you both want the same dream. It's just this dude was punching above his weight class, and there is a large amount of respect. I do remember following his journey as well, and I've seen him a few times, and I was very impressed by that. I thought that was really cool on his part. And I thought, especially when they got him for those first-person interviews, he looked pretty level-headed, all things considered about it.
Yeah, no, he's great. I mean, honestly, I think if we were the same weight, he would have beat me. Like, it's just plain and simple. Like, during training, when I'm not, like, trying to, like, be as, like, a big guy, and we're going, like, move for move, he's always beating me up in training. So, like, it was just one of those cases where, there's a reason weight classes exist. And, like, if it was a 170 bracket, he would have posted everybody. And I couldn't have done it because I'm 205. So, it's going to be a great experience for him to come be a reserve at PGF. And then the next PGF, for his weight, he's going to, cook people. So, it's really cool.
Can I pitch something here? This is how I know you guys are both just starting out on your pro wrestling knowledge. Like, you might watch the videos, you might do the research, the tape study, but maybe you didn't think this through. So essentially what you had is the ability to do a best 2 out of 3. And you left money on the table, kids. That's what tells me you don't have the storytelling device.
Best 2 out of... Hang on, let me tell you something. Best 2 out of 3 matches?
Yeah. Here's why.
We did that.
No. But I'm saying you did the honors of taking match 1, right? And then he had to work his way back up to beat you in the end, right?
Let me say one thing.
Okay.
I remember, in the 5th match I had, which was against Christos again, where he had to beat me twice. And what you're telling me is I could have let him win one, is what you're saying?
I'm saying there was money on the table if you guys were really true pro wrestling fans. You left a match on there. It's literally like, to pro wrestling fans, denying them a 3rd bout, not giving them their money.
Are we going to put in Hell in a Cell? Because honestly, I didn't want to see Drew McIntyre and CM Punk again. Until they said Hell in a Cell, I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to see 3 the same match.
Oh, okay. You don't like drawing money. Sorry, I didn't understand what you were saying there for a second. The reason why they're doing it in Hell in a Cell is because there's money in that feud of the year. And it's so weird because meanwhile, on the other side with the boys over at AEW, Hangman and Swerve are putting together some really good matches that don't have as many eyeballs on it. So it's
these guys are crazy human beings. Thing is, they don't have that same pull. But yeah, back to the topic. B-Mac would have to pull out the Hell in a Cell for that 3rd match,
Just like, you don't think he would? Like, my friend, you need to research B-Mac a little bit better to know. My man would entertain being like, well, I don't know if I can get a Hell in a Cell right now, but I can get like half of a cell, and maybe we can put some like brimstone in it so it's not full of hell.
Yeah, I think you would do that. I think you would. Honestly, we're both getting very tired by the end of the day. So, poor job of us, didn't make a big pull. I remember honestly, in our 2nd match when he passed my guard again, and I was like, fool me twice. Like, I was thinking like, man, maybe I'm just gonna lose the 2nd one, then I'm gonna have to win the 3rd. But
I will say,
it's pretty silly.
It's both you and last year Mike John had a similar space where Mike John won, and then there's that possibility of you lose the winner status because you have to make it a definitive thing. Where if you've been winning all day long, it's like, man, you might have put somebody down, but they have the ability to come back. And that's one of the few things I hope that we refine over the process, because it was kind of weird when I look at it and I go, oh, for Mike John, I didn't really care as much. But for you, I was kind of like, yeah, dude, doing that twice to your homie it's not the funnest day at work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was annoying. Obviously we're great friends. And I think it's definitely a personal thing. If you lose to your friend, like how you react to it. I know if I was to lose to him, I would be fine. But it's a 2-way thing in him, and he was just as fine as I would have been. So, he's a good lad. You know, we see cases all the time of people losing to their friends and just hating them.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but I will offer to Christos, I will offer to be the manager that helps him for his heel turn on you at the PGF. That makes it so that you get injured and he can come in. So, like, I don't know if he's thought that far ahead, but I definitely have.
oh yeah, he's thinking far ahead. I mean, he knows he's going to get a match or two. I mean, I think he's like number 2 reserve or something really good like that. So, you know, it's 3 matches and then 4 days of that. So, you know, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be cooked. So,
I'm just saying, it's not far to find a foreign object. Maybe I bring the actual championship belt. Oh, I'm getting an actual championship belt there.
You should bring it.
BMAC actually owes me a championship belt for winning their fantasy league last year. So,
oh, does he?
Yeah. You know, he did something where he told us, he's like, hey, could y'all do a fantasy league? And I was like, I can, but I don't know, man. Do I have to? And he's like, I really like it. And I was like, great. And then I won it. And I go, he was telling us, he goes, oh, I'm going to give the winner a belt. And I was like, oh, things change when you say you're going to give a belt, bro. Because, like,
yeah, I mean, belts are so cool.
A lot of pro wrestling fans when they go to live events and they wear belts. I'm of the mindset that says I can challenge you for that. And I like my odds. Not going to say I'm going to beat everybody, but I like a number of the people I see. I'm like, yeah, I don't think they're going to walk home with that.
Yeah, well, funny you say that because when I went to Raw, I went and I did the Naga the week before, won the belt, took the belt to Raw. Okay, so I was looking around. Everyone had their really great replica belts. And I was looking at my, Naga belt. It's falling apart. I was like, I earned this belt. I earned this. None of you guys earned the belts. Like, I've got a photo of me right there in Raw with the Naga belt. I mean, I'll send it to you. It's pretty hilarious.
Please
I'm standing there in the bleachers.
Because I will tell you this, 2 things here. First is, I don't know if you noticed the posture that happens when people have the belt, but like, it's different if you won a Naga and you actually did something for it. The people bought it from Kmart and they're like pumped out like this, and I go,
they'll hold it like that. Yeah, it's like, bro, you got that for $400.
Right. And 2, you wearing that, it means you became one of the civilians. It means you became one of those people. It means that is good. You probably could defend yourself well. But I'm saying, like, there are holes in these plans that now tell me it's like, oh, just attack you from the back with the belt, take the belt. Then what are you going to do? Because
it's the hardcore championship, brother.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just figure this out. So it definitely has a hole in its plan.
At Henzo's, we do a lot of turtle rounds. Okay, we do turtle rounds every single day. So I think your plan of coming in and smacking me from behind, I mean, sure, you're going to have the edge of the surprise. But I've been there. We do turtle rounds twice a day. It's not gonna look good. I'm gonna reverse you.
I mean, you could, but I don't think you know the Rolodex of people that I know. So some of which are actually in your gym as well, who wouldn't be out of their realm of asking a favor to or two. So just saying.
I mean, there's a lot of nuggets. I'll go win another one. Not a big deal.
Just go win another one. Actually, you know what? That's the best thing. It's like, you know what? You could have that one, bro. It's fine. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but I have told people if I do get to create a game show for jiu-jitsu, I like the idea of a game show where you can challenge somebody for a rematch for an unprestigious belt or medal. So something that you won at a local tournament that you still feel in your feels about. Or that you could call somebody out and be like, yo, I want that first place that you got at Grappling Industries.
That would be funny. I would just turn everyone down. I'm not doing that rematch. I won the Dallas Open, all right?
See, that's where money comes into play, though. If you have TV network money, that's what you do to offset. Because I'm like, yeah, most of these people are like, you can't get that back. I hold this in perpetuity. So there is that. Talk to me about this, dude. With the last 2 matches, we got the end bit of match 5 already told. We know what happens there. But what happens in match number 4?
Match number 4, I would like to say I invented a new move. Okay. I went to fall sweep this guy. He sat back. Me and my housemate Christos call it the bomboclat lock. Okay. Basically, reverse figure 4 grip on the cross ankle, and then you launch yourself, right? Pato style. And basically, makes your opponent say bomboclat, they tap immediately. And yeah, it's history.
That was part of the area where when I did see you hit it, I was like, yeah, these are solid. So I didn't know you invented a move, so I'm sorry about that.
I mean, I invented it right on the spot. I mean, listen, I'm not going to say I really invented it. I mean, everyone can reinvent the wheel, but it was the first time I came across it. It was just happened to be right there. The guy's foot was dangling. I grabbed it with whatever grip I could, which happened to be this grip, launched myself this direction, and it was over.
For our purposes here, come in here real quick. You invented it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to tell people you didn't invent it. You can just kind of like say like I invented this. You know, a lot of people in jiu-jitsu, they already do that as is. So you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I made up that move. I think I'm gonna call it the A block. It's my move.
By the way, was not a fan of the fact that I just interviewed Abe and he happened to be in Vegas and he was the last roll. Like he heard my voice and he's like, "Is that you?" And I'm like, "It's me. Is that you?" And he goes, "Yeah." And we start rolling and it's the last roll. And I'm like, dude, jiu-jitsu does not work on you. I know in theory I should be able to sweep you. It's not happening. This is not fun. And my man goes so quickly to hit an A block. I was like, I didn't disbelieve you, bro. Like there's no part of me that didn't believe this happened. And if anything, I was just in awe where I go, oh, is that how you do? Okay. Oh, thanks.
Oh, he's
bro.
very good at it.
Oh.
I mean, he definitely he's been through some troubles trying to keep the name A block, but I think he's really earned it now. 59 A blocks in competition is pretty ridiculous. So,
brother,
I think he earned it.
He can have the name. Nobody here on this show is going to try and take it away from him. So
yeah,
I definitely
no one's hit 59 of them.
I was like, dude, and my thing, you know what's so funny is when you look at him and I'm like, bro, I'm on your side. Why the fuck am I getting A blocked? This is some fucking shit, dude.
He's just proven it works.
Yeah, I know that. No, these good people. I really do like Abe, so give him my best. Actually, hold on. Now that I think about it, now that I know Abe, can A block you? Extra name when I attack you from back. See, already figured it out. Done.
I see. All right, fair enough.
I'm just saying. Plus, the variation that he does.
You're building a faction, bro.
Bro, I always have a faction on me. Listen, I can't be my size and attacking somebody your size and not have a faction behind me ready to go. Like, dude,
that's true.
You're still working your way from the mid card to the main card. I've always been main card, main event. So I need you to build up to me. I'm literally the last boss. You have to go through all my minions, which will probably beat. That's fine. I'll figure out a couple that are the harder level 5 bosses.
No, that's totally fine. I mean, I'll get through them.
Let's go back to business. Last thing happens. We know how the last match goes with you and Christos. What are you guys saying to each other when it's all said and done? Because I'm sure the look on his face kind of read like, this kind of sucks, but you're my guy, so I don't hate you, but I also don't necessarily want to be on camera in this exact moment. And even then, he was a good sport about it. So what were you guys saying to each other in those moments?
Well, you know, I was trying to get him on the show, make sure he got a reserve spot, and then he did. I mean, honestly, that was perfect. Oh, where'd you go? Not gonna lose her. Yeah, no, it was good to go to a reserve spot. And then we were really hungry, so we went and got lunch. You know, we got some tacos, I think. You know,
did you?
We had a great day. I mean,
did you?
I did.
Okay,
I did pay for it. Wait, what did we get? All I know is I did buy his lunch. I did.
Okay. All right. I can kind of forgive that a little bit. And of course, you guys are going to go home, so this is going to continue on. Does it get referenced at home any further, or do we drop it entirely?
Oh, you mean like the actual matches?
I'm just wondering, yeah, if any of the experience gets brought up again, because I know my friends and I know what happens with my friends. I'm curious what happens at your household, if you guys are actual good people or if you're like me and a shit human being.
Oh, well, to be honest, we're both excited. We both get to go do PGF. So
nice.
I think the actual result of our matches is sort of overshadowed by the actual result of what we got. You know, I get to be on the PGF roster. He gets to be a reserve. We both go for a week. Our accommodation's paid for. It's gonna be it's just gonna be fun. Like, I mean, I think life is built up of all these different experiences, and like, you know, I get to experience PGF not just by myself but with Christos. It's gonna be super cool. So it sort of outgrew any like submissions or any animosity we had through our matches, and more just excitement.
Almost like you could have had a third match, no problem, and sold it better. If maybe we will.
We might have a match on PGF. You know, maybe we won't get drafted on the same team.
Oh no, but maybe now it matters. So now I can't like now I can't have you guys gimmick a match where all of a sudden it looks like you're going to powerbomb your friend. Like, at least you could have played with that at the qualifier with that second match. That could have been up in the air. Like, that's your burner match that you can use to get to the third match and then go back to real. I'm just saying, missed opportunity there, sir.
I mean, that honestly, I'll be real with you. Sometimes I'm lying in my bed and I'm like, damn, maybe I fluked Christos twice. Like, you know, if I could have lost. I'm not kidding. You know, when we roll in the gym, like, I'm not even joking. Like, he just kicks my ass, like, every time. So, like, I mean, I got lucky. I really got lucky. And, you know, if I made it best out of 3 falls, you know, I might have fallen twice.
The nice part about this is, you know, you guys both get to go. We get to see more of his work, hopefully. The process is usually, even if they don't have something, I think BMAC sometimes tries to find them like a super fight or something. So there's always opportunities over that way. And
yeah, it's gonna
legitimately,
be awesome.
The way I was watching him work, I did like what he was doing. I was hoping the best for him. And, you know, you guys coming together as a package deal, I think is actually really dope. And I know he's going to be out there rooting for you. So it kind of told a really cool story all the way through. So super happy for the both of you guys. And there's nothing quite like getting an experience with that with somebody you know and going through it. So I very much look forward to seeing you both there. And obviously it'll be fun because then I can talk with both of you about pro wrestling when we're over there. So I'll already
It'll be sick.
Questions for Christos as well. I guess the question is this: do we attack him or do I have to be on guard that you guys are attacking me?
I can't tell you the way it's booked, brother.
Okay, you can't tell me the way it's booked. Okay, fine. You know what? I'll just go to the Vince of our show and I'll just be like, BMAC, here's how it goes. That doesn't work for me, brother. 100% to whatever you guys creatively preach. So around this time, obviously PGF, a great experience. I do want to know, what is it that you're feeling about PGF? Because obviously you're excited about it, but like, I'm sure now you have the idea that it's 12 matches. It's an intense week. We put you up for auction. Like, what are your expectations and feelings going into that week, sir?
I mean, I'm sure I can do 12 matches in 4 days. Like, I understand it's a lot of load. The main thing is that everyone's freaking good. Right? This is the crazy thing. I mean, I'm like lying in my bed and I'm like, like I can find some freaking freaks. And especially, like, some guys are going to be cutting crazy weight. Like, I'm 5 pounds under. I'm 200. Like, I'm pretty sure Ryan Aiken's like 220. Like, this is 205 bracket, so there's going to be some big fellas in there. I mean, I'm bulking. I mean, you know, I can't even put up my arms right now, show you my muscles, because there's some serious muscle in this division. I'm going, you know, after this, I'm going straight to the gym, lifting weights. I need to be as big as possible because there are some freaks in this division, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be cool. Don't get injured. I mean, I've got a pretty good plan. I don't want to, you know, put all my eggs in a basket and tell you what I'm doing. But I've got a pretty good plan on how I'm going to win this PGF thing. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. Well, good to know. It's a good tease. We'll keep that one ready to go. About this time on the show, we like to ask people about their origin story. This is your first time on the show, so I'd like to know, we obviously heard that it was something that ventured off from your pro wrestling side, but do you remember your first day actually going into a jiu-jitsu gym?
Yeah. I remember I was... after school, I was at the bus stop and I had nothing to do until 6:30. It was 3 p.m. and I was like, I've got to do something. Got to fill my time. So I found a local gym. I didn't even know what jiu-jitsu was. I was like, all right, they have a jiu-jitsu class. I'm going to go do it. Right? So I was like, all right, call them up. I'm like, all right, can I do that class? They were like, yeah, sure. Turn up. And I was like, yeah, this is not very straight. All right? Don't know if I like this. But then ended up getting my ass kicked really bad. You know, no one in the room treated me nice. Got bashed. One guy grabbed my gi across the collar, other hand, put his fist in my face. I remember I had a bruise on my face, and I was like, that was sick. So that was my first experience doing jiu-jitsu. That was at a little kickboxing gym in Australia, in Sydney. And ever since then, I fell in love with the sport, and here we are.
I always like to ask this as well. So you have it on the first day. A lot of people get their shit kicked out of them on their first day. But you do this now kind of as a career more than just as a hobby. So I always like to ask, when did you know you fell in love with this that made you do it as more than just something that was fun to do and kind of pass the time aside?
On the first day. I mean, the first day I trained, I walked out of there and I was like, I was like, if there's any opportunity in that, I'm going to find it because I loved I don't know, I got smashed, but I wanted to do the smash, and like just the way they were like throwing me around, like it was so easy for those guys. I remember thinking like, I really need to be good at that, and I need to be one of the best to ever do that. So if there's any opportunity in this sport, I'm going to go find it and I'm going to go take it myself. So that was pretty much the mindset I had from the first day.
And how many years ago was that? Are we talking like 6-7 years now?
That was 2018, so
6 years.
7 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So if that's the case, what would you say has been the best thing that you have learned in that time? Like, what has been the, like, from day one to where you are right now? What has been the best thing that you have implemented, learned, or adapted over those years from where you started?
I think the main thing I learned is that, like, you're never at your final form. Like, there's always more you can do. Like, for example, I really felt I could win Nogi Worlds last year. And then I came third. And I was like, damn, I feel really good. Like, this is the best I've ever felt. Like, how can I just come third? And then right now, I'm like, oh, maybe this is what it takes because I feel so much better. And then, maybe like, hope I don't, but I could lose this year. And then I'm sure this time next year, I'll be feeling 10 times better. And I'll be like, whoa, maybe this. So, just keep evolving. The evolution is crazy. You think, like, you think this is the end. You think, oh, I've made it to my pinnacle. But, like, I'm 24. Like, I just keep getting bigger and stronger, more athletic, more knowledgeable. And, like, it just keeps growing. And I think that's the cool thing about it is that you could think like you're peaking at something, but you're just at the top of this roller coaster, which is about to zoom back down and take you on a bigger, long journey. So that's probably the main thing I've learned is it just never ends.
And how did you get paired up with the Danaher crew over with the New Wave? Because the journey had to take you from, where is it, Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you get from Australia to the States, and then how do you find your way with them?
I remember I was watching ADCC, not this one, but the one before where John Colley won his first gold medal. And I had never even heard of him. I was like, who is that guy? Like, he moved so well. He destroyed Lucas Barbosa in the finals. Took us back and strangled him. And I was like, wow, who was that guy? And I was like, that guy's training with John. Like, I have never even heard of this guy, and he won ADCC. And I sort of felt like I was in the same boat. Like, I felt like I had some potential to be somewhat good at this, but I needed like somewhere to like really grow in that manner, like grow technically. So I just was like, that's what I want to do. I'm going to go there. So got an Airbnb in Austin, went to Henzo's, and from the first class, I was like, wow, this is crazy. John shows a lot of content, and it's a lot of depth. Like I really wouldn't have the depth of knowledge I feel in each position without just that like constant like teaching from him. So that's probably what it was. Just I wanted to really broaden my understanding of jiu-jitsu, and like it just seems like those guys really do understand. So that's what I wanted.
What does it feel like now to be a part of that crew? And of course, Giancarlo just won another championship. The team did pretty well. Obviously, Gordon, Gary, a number of superstars within that room, and emerging Big Dan. What does it feel like now to be in that room with all of those impressive talents?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are freaking beasts, bro. It's pretty cool to see. It's really impressive to win 2 ADCCs in a row. I think that's the first time someone's ever won 88 twice. So it just shows that, like, I mean, going to John's classes is crazy because it feels like not only are you getting better, but it even seems like John is like even improving at a rate. Like everyone would probably imagine him as like this guy who just knows everything, but even he is always learning and like coming in with new content to teach us. So it's pretty interesting. You can win one ADCC and become the most studied athlete in the world, but they're evolving just as quick as everyone else. So it's pretty cool to see that.
It is very impressive. And I mean, the nice part is you're in that group and you'll be an excellent representative for that group at the PGF season 7. So in the meantime, what plans have you? Like, what are you doing and how are you prepping and how are you getting there? And is there a camp? Like, what does this process look like for the next, 6-7 weeks?
I mean, it's one of those things where I won the qualifier and I didn't really understand what I won. I was like, all right, I won the PGF qualifier. And then I was like, every day I just realized like, this is actually like a really big deal. Like, I understand because people don't really like understand PGF the same way they look at ADCC and they look at these big world championships, but really this is a big freaking deal. So, I'm taking it really serious. I'm eating clean, lifting weights, doing what I can, never skipping a session of training, never skipping a round, making sure I'm there mentally every session. Like no matter what else is happening around me in my life, like just making sure I'm always pushing forward and making it happen.
Well, good man. You know, I have to say, I was impressed by your work when I saw the video. You made me laugh a couple times, and I was excited to see how you fit into the PGF ecosystem. And as somebody who's going to be doing the pre and post shows, I can tell you this, don't be surprised if you get a tap on the shoulder and you are told to come do the post show, because, you know, you do have a good personality. There's a lot there to work with. And obviously very excited to see how you are implemented in that. And I think you're going to have some success.
I'm excited. I'm a very confident person. Like I wouldn't have packed up everything and come here if I didn't think I could do it. So, you know, I'm coming to PGF to break people, and I really hope I do. Like, I really enjoy the process of submitting people and, like, you know, breaking the limb. So that's if I break some limbs and go to the post show, because I'm going to be a goon. I'm going to be very silly.
I hope so. And make sure to, stay loose as you're doing it, because one thing that I do try to educate people with is I've worked in TV for a long time, and it's tough to get people to celebrate their wins, because sometimes they're so hung up on being first place, that I think is appropriate for an athlete, that sometimes they don't understand when I'm like, no, I tapped you on the shoulder, not because you've mission accomplished, but because I want to capture this moment that you don't even know happened. Like, you just did your job, but I have eyes outside of it. So my job is always to tell you, like, no, this was dope. Your friends and your family will tell you this later, or you'll recognize what this meant later. So that's usually what I like to do. And part of the reason why I like doing the interviews with the people who do win the qualifiers is because at the very beginning, this is our first introduction to, this is how I interview. So it doesn't catch you by surprise when after you compete, who knows what you're like. If you know what I'm like beforehand, then you usually know the kind of line of questioning and the experience feel, as opposed to, I don't want to do this interview, because they do get fined if they don't do the interviews.
I'm not trying to get fined. I mean, listen, it's that Monday night after WrestleMania. You know, the story it's not over. You know, the main event happened, but, you know, what happens next? Brock Lesnar's coming out and he's kicking John Cena's ass. Something's happening, you know. It's not over.
As we start to wind up, I'll ask you this. Do you have a favorite all-time match? And if so, what is it?
Oh, yeah. My favorite match ever is The Undertaker and Triple H with Shawn Michaels as a special guest referee in Hell in a Cell. That was craziness. I mean, I don't know what the reason is. I mean, I think I was like 12 when it happened. I think in that moment I was just so, like, captured by, like, the story, and, like, by the whole storytelling of the whole match. Like, it's one of those things where it's my favorite, maybe not because of, like, the actual, like, wrestling on the match or whatever, but just because of, like, where I was at in that time. Like, it just captured me in that time. Like, I was nowhere else. I was totally watching the match. Like, I was totally engaged. So that's definitely my favorite match, bro.
That's a good, solid match. One of the homies hooked us up with WrestleMania tickets for the one in Arizona, and it was the Shawn Michaels retirement match. So it was number 2 of him and Taker back-to-back on Manias. And although the first is technically better, you couldn't convince me, because I'm sitting there experiencing it live and thinking, like, oh my God, Shawn Michaels might retire. This is epic. I don't know if people know the lasting legacy this dude's going to lead. And we made friends with other hecklers around the area who are still friends to this day. But what I always laugh about is, you know, there's a kid who's rightfully, for being a kid, cheering for The Undertaker. And my homie, who's just out of college, looking over at this kid and being like, yo, shut the fuck up, kid. We can't lose Shawn Michaels. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is priceless. Like, my buddy's about to get into a fight with a fucking child over his childhood idol maybe being counted out here. So what you had was the extension, and that end of era shot that they do at the end of that match is pretty epic.
No, that was super cool. That was definitely my favorite match.
So sick. Make sure as you are doing the PGF that you add your showmanship to it, because every little element is going to help pay it off, so that hopefully we do get those Raw after Mania sort of vibes, and we do continue to do those things. So I am counting on you, and don't be surprised if I feed you some lines so that you can actually have a good promo.
I'm ready.
Good man. Here's what we're going to do, kid. I'm going to say bye to you off air. I'm just going to close this up and then we'll call it a day. But I always like to give you an opportunity before I do the closing to let you shout out any friends or sponsors or anybody you want to who helped you pull off such an impressive win at the PGF qualifier, sir. Camera's on you.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've never thanked people, like, so I need to really start doing it. I need to thank my parents, they're legends. I need to thank my gym in Australia, Grappling Education, my coach Kel Loxody. These guys have done so much for me. All my supporters in Australia. I need to thank Neighborhood Jiu-Jitsu in Ipswich. They've supported me a lot. I need to thank Jeff Boone, my friend Jeff Boone, BJJ Campaign. He's been a big supporter of me in America, and all my teammates and friends at Henzo Gracie Austin. They're just so legendary. So I want to thank all those guys.
Good man. We'll work on it. So very impressed with your performances, sir. And I look forward to DDTing you. If you do kick out at 1, though, we're going to have an issue because, come on, you don't do that.
I mean, that's all part of the show. You've seen Brock Lesnar, he kicks out at 1.
Brother, you are not Brock Lesnar. I don't know how to tell you this. Brother.
I'm Brock Lesnar, brother. I'm Brock Lesnar.
You're not even a Temu Brock Lesnar. Like, when you order something on Wish and you go like, I'm so sorry, I have the receipt still. Can I get my money back?
Brother, I mean, I don't know. When you put your hands on me, you're going to realize that I'm the next big thing.
Brother, you're not even the next biggest thing in the fucking weight division. You were telling me, you're like, other people might be bigger. It's like, nobody says
I'm the next
biggest thing that you know.
I'm the next medium thing. All right.
That's a much better thing. I can work with the next medium thing on our branding. Sebastian, you're a good kid. I like you. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll talk to you in a second, sir.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All righty, guys. A couple quick reminders before we get on out of here. First and foremost, like, comment, subscribe. If you have no idea what you want to comment on in the comment section, I'll challenge you to do this. Why don't you put your favorite WrestleMania match of all time? Because you probably have one. You heard his, you heard mine. You should have one. And if you haven't, you need to form an opinion. So like, comment, subscribe on this video. You can also follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/grappling hour. Go follow us there because we're about to put up a slew of interviews and some new content for our premium users. So get on that because we have so much stuff that we are putting up. Additionally, you can find us on our Discord and our Spotify and Apple podcast pages, all at Grappling Hour. Make it super easy. And you can find us on Instagram at Grappling Hour as well. Ladies and gents, I think it's going to do it for us, but shout out to our friends over at Gelato Water, keeping me hydrated. I want to see if I can get that lighting right. Yeah, that's a little bit better right there. Yeah. Am I supposed to do like the Pepsi commercial thing? Gelato. Can't live without it. It's water. Yeah, you can't live without it. Yeah, that works. Hey, thank you guys for watching so much. We appreciate you. We will see you back here very soon for another interview. Until then, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.